Hi friends, it's Deanna here today and welcome to my channel. I'm so excited to be sewing up the Nora dress by Sew Magazine. This is a free pattern. You just have to sign up for the newsletter and then you can download this free pattern to your laptop, print it out, and sew it up with me. This is a super cute dress made for wovens. It is very, very straightforward and I think we're gonna have a great time sewing it up. Now don't forget to subscribe to my channel where I show a ton of free patterns for you to sew up, but also some tips and tricks. And if you want to see more behind the scenes, make sure you follow me at Ezra on Instagram because I go on there all the time doing stories and hacks and all kinds of stuff. So make sure you're following me over there. All the links will be below. So go grab your pattern, print it out, and let's sew it together. All right, we're gonna sew up Nora. I've got facings, back facing, front facing, and I actually need to cut out interfacing for these. So I haven't done that yet, but we'll get to that. And then I've got the pieces of the skirt. I had to cut them out into 4 pieces because I didn't have enough. So I just cut as much as I have. So I think that's gonna be okay. I've got my front and my back. This is my front bodice. I'm gonna put that aside, that's cut on the fold. My sleeves and my back bodice. And my back bodice is cut into 2 because we're gonna have a placket, and here's my markings for my placket. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna sew up the shoulders right sides together. So I'm gonna grab the front and place it right side up on my mat, and I'm gonna grab my back and face it right sides together right on top. So the straight seam is in the center. What I'm gonna do to sew that up is I'm gonna go with a straight stitch on my sewing machine first, and then I'm gonna finish the edges with my serger. And you can finish them with your serger or with your sewing machine with a zigzag stitch. For the bodice back, while I'm at it, I'm going to neaten off the back seam by going on my serger and serging it all up, because we're going to sew up this to create that placket. So you're going to want to have that seam allowance here to open up for the placket. So I want to go ahead and neaten it up first before I sew. So let's go do those 2 things. And I'm going to cut out some interfacing and attach the interfacing to one of the front and one of the back so that we can prep the facing. So I really don't know why, but I really hate interfacing. I don't know why. I do. Do you hate interfacing as much as I do, or am I the only one who hates interfacing? Because I hate it. So now we're going to attach the interfacing. This is fusible interfacing. It's a lightweight interfacing, and I'm attaching it to the back of the facing. As I say, I hate interfacing. I just hate working with it, but I like what it does to my garment. It helps keep everything really sturdy, so I like using it. I just don't like, I wish my fabric was already interfaced when I start sewing. It's the thing. So I don't know why I cut 2 sets, because I only needed to cut 1. It says cut 1 on the fold for fabric and 1 on the fold fusible, but I cut 2. Oh, great. So I'm just gonna put 1 set away. And then while I'm over there, I'm also going to match up the shoulders of the interfacing so that when we come back, we can attach interfacing. And then I also just realized something else. Cut 1 on the fold, cut 2 on the fold. Yeah, this is the back. I don't think they mean cut 2 on the fold. I think they mean cut 2 mirrored. I don't think there needs to be a fold on this one, because this is gonna be my placket, my back. And my back, it's gonna have a placket when I sew it on. I'll show you what I mean by that. It opens up like this. So I cannot have my back go on the round. It's not going to. It's gonna have to be cut in 2. So I think they meant to say cut 2 mirrored. So what we're going to do is I'm gonna cut it in half here so that will match up when I go to sew it. But before I do that, I'm just gonna go ahead and sew this up, and then I'm going to neaten the bottom of this whole facing. So all around the bottom, I'm gonna use my serger, and then on my shoulder seams, I'm also gonna, you know what? Let me go ahead and cut it in half because I wanna neaten that too on the sides of the sleeve. So I'm just gonna go with it because I'm pretty sure that's what they meant. I can't imagine that they would mean 2. I think what they meant was, make sure I measured because this is the front, not the back. I thought that was the front. I thought this was the front. This is the back. Okay, so I'm gonna cut that in half because I can't imagine that they meant that. And if I'm messing up now, we're learning together. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and place it right sides together here at the shoulders, and then go ahead and sew up, starting here all the way around the outer edge and coming back up here. So we're gonna neaten that, and then we're gonna go ahead and the inside we'll sew, and then we'll neaten it once we sew it on. Let's go do all those steps. All right, we're gonna go to the serger. All right, now we're gonna grab our back bodices. Y'all, I neatened one side of the back bodice and then one side of the front bodice. Not what I needed. I'm gonna go neaten that. Hold on one second. That is done. Now I'm gonna place this right sides together here, this back bodice, and I'm going to grab my pattern piece and find where my mark is, right here. Find the mark that goes along with your sizing, and you're gonna place this over it and find that mark and mark it right there. So that's where we're gonna stop. So we're gonna go from the bottom, right sides together, and start here or start at the bottom and just sew that with a straight stitch to create, we're gonna create this placket over here. We'll make sure that they're facing straight. Now for the neckline here, while we're at it, because I like to do things at the same time, we're going to place the the facing right onto it. First, we're gonna go with the shoulders, and it's right sides together. We're opening the shoulder seam here, and we place that over here along this shoulder seam. Now it should all match 1 to 1 because it's the same, it should be all the same size. So we're going to be attaching right sides together on this inner side of the facing. All right, now as we come along the front here, I'm gonna come along here. Now I don't know how they do it on the pattern because I was reading it and it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. But I'm gonna go, and for the facing, I'm gonna go here in the corner and go down. Then we'll just turn this, and this will be tucked in here, right? Now, if you wanna add like a little, what do you call it? Like a little strap or something that you're going to place in there, a little bit of elastic or something that is gonna help you hook, like maybe you'll put a button on one side and elastic on the other. You're going to want to put it on the inside now. Here, let me show you, 1 second. All right, all I could find was this little, let's say I'm gonna do this hoop here. You're gonna wanna put that on there first. And then when you sew it together and you open it up, you'll have that loop there. So whatever it is that you wanna do. I don't know if I wanna, this is a pretty big loop. We're gonna try it. If I don't like it, I can always just take it off later. And and do like a hook and eye, like something like this is probably what I will usually like to do, but we'll see. So you would encase it in there when you sew it up, if that's what you're doing. All right, so we're gonna sew up the back and we're gonna sew this on. You can go up, around, and down. This seam allowance will then get top stitched down all the way after we turn it around. So let's go do that. When I get to my spot, I'll do a back stitch here. Okay, and then I'm gonna go around the facing. All right, now I wanna make sure that everything cut and looks good. See right here where that hoop is gonna be? It's already on there. So then I'll just have to add a button on the other side to close it. And I can just trim this extra stuff that's hanging out. And we can trim these corners here at both sides and turn it, and then we can understitch. Understitch just means pull the seam allowance towards the lining. I'm gonna leave it out, I don't want it to get. Pull the seam allowance towards the lining and sew it to the lining. And you can go steam that first if you feel like if you don't steam it, it might not work for you. But since I've done this so many times, I don't even steam it. I just pull it towards the seam out, towards the facing, and stitch it down. This helps the facing not to poke out when you're wearing your outfit. And you want to do it close to the seam allowance. Now here on the back, where we did this placket facing, you're gonna open up the seam allowance here on the back of the placket and tuck in the seam and just stitch down the back seam allowance towards the bodice. I like to lift the foot and turn, and then sew the other way, and then lift the foot again and turn, and here we go to the other corner, sewing that seam allowance down of the back. Now if you wanted to top stitch all the way around, you can, but I don't like to top stitch the neckline, so I just leave it with the facing being top stitched here already. All right, so now you just need to give it a really good steam and your top is done. And then you also want to add that button here, or whatever it is that you're going to do to close up that placket there. Now I'm going to open up my neck and my arm area here, and we're going to attach our sleeves. We have markings on our sleeves, and let me see. I've got my back marking and my middle marking, so I know that this is for this side. This is my middle marking here, right sides together, match that up at the shoulder. Broken clip. And then the back goes towards the back, right sides together, matching up those raw edges. And then towards the front. And we're gonna do that for both, and once I sew it up with my sewing machine, I'm going to put in with my serger. Now, I feel like my sleeve is a little bit bigger than my bodice, than my arm side, and my pattern does not tell me anything about gathering, but I'm just going to, the extra, it's just a little bit extra. I'm just pointing it towards the top, and then it'll just give me a little bit of like a poofy gather sleeve here. And if it's too big for yours, then I would put in a little bit of a gathering stitch here at the top and make it fit. So it's not really a whole lot, it's just a little bit. So when I turn it, it'll have a little bit of like a flowy here at the top, and it should be fine. Sometimes working with patterns that are free can have like some little quirky things to them that you have to kind of work through, like the wording on the pattern piece itself or stuff like that. And this is why I like to do the sew-alongs on here for the free patterns, so that I can catch any of that stuff and tell you about it, so that way when you make it, you can be sure that you're doing it correctly. Unless I make a mistake, which, you know, I make mistakes very, very often. If you have a pattern that you're like, oh, I would like to sew up this free pattern that you found somewhere, and you say, oh, could I get some help? I wish that she would sew it, Deanna would sew it. Just go ahead and comment below and let me know what that is, and I may be able to get to it. Also, if you're looking for more free patterns and you just don't know where to find them, on my Instagram, I have a whole 2 bubble highlights of free patterns. So you can go check them out there. All right, we're gonna sew that on and then serge on top of it to finish it up. And I'm gonna start prepping my skirt. So they are all different tiers. So I've got 2 for the top and 2 for the bottom tier. So we're gonna match up the short raw edges, right sides together of each 2 tiers, like each 2 panels. I'm gonna sew them together at my sewing machine, and then I'm gonna serge them after that. Now this pattern, I don't remember seeing a pocket, or maybe I didn't cut it out. But it would be easy to make a pattern pocket. I think I have a tutorial here on my channel how to add pockets, or really any tutorial that has a side pocket would be easy to just add it to this pattern. So if you found a side pocket tutorial, you could just make your own pocket and do that. And it might be something, comment below and let me know if that's something you would like to see in my channel. All right, let's go sew that. You may be wondering why I did that. I just realized that I made the top layer and the bottom layer the same width, and they can't do that, so I made one shorter than the other. You say, why didn't you figure that out in the beginning? Well, because I didn't have enough fabric. So I did 2 layers instead of 3 at the bottom, but I didn't realize that I was making it just as big as the other one. So I didn't want it to be, the top one needs to be a little bit smaller than the bottom one, so it can gather a little bit more. So the bottom can gather a little bit more. All right, my sleeves are on. Now we're gonna sew those side seams. Right sides together at the armpit, and then down the side and down the sleeve. There's that side I've eaten for no reason, because I'm gonna sew over it anyway. After I sew the sides together, the side seams, I'm gonna go over to my serger and finish off the rest of the side seam. And I'm also going to go ahead and serge the bottom edge of my sleeve all the way around. That way when I come back, I can just hem it and it'll already be finished. So I don't have to worry about like a double fold or anything like that. It'll be finished off, and then I'll just fold and fold and stitch. Now for the skirts, okay, what I was trying to say was, if I have 2 tiers that are the same width, then you're gonna have 2 tiers that are just gonna fit right into each other. I don't want that. I want one that's gathered to the bodice and one that's gathered to this one, so that they look different. It would be just a straight skirt attached to each other if it wasn't different widths. So what I'm gonna do, what I did is I made this one shorter and this one longer. So then this one will have to be gathered just a little bit to fit this one. And this will be gathered to fit the bodice of my top right here. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go to my sewing machine. I'm gonna sew the sides. Then at the same time, I'm going to put in a basting stitch to gather this skirt. So I'm gonna put in a basting stitch at the top of this skirt and a basting stitch at the top of this tier to gather it to this width here. So I'm gonna go do that. And then the bottom of the bottom tier, I'm gonna sew it up, serge it up, so that way when I go to hem it, I can just hem it. I can do that later when I'm sewing this onto the dress. Before I do that though, I'm gonna fold my tier in half, and I'm gonna find where the half point is of my tier and mark it, because that makes it a whole lot easier when I go to attach to know where the middle is. And I'm gonna do that for the bottom of the top tier as well, because when I attach the bottom, I'll have it marked already and it'll be easy to know where my middle is. And I'm gonna do that to the top of the bottom tier. All right, let's go do all that. All right, what I do with this is I make my length of my stitch super long. and just do a full basting stitch. And sometimes I up my tension and that gathers it a little bit for me. Then I want to leave a long tail at the end to make sure my gathers are gonna fit. Okay, I'm finishing the raw edge of the bottom tier. Finish up the side seam and finish up the bottom of the sleeve so I can hem it. All right, there's my bodice. We're gonna grab our top tier and we're gonna gather it the width of my bodice. And the cool thing is that since I put in a little bit of gathering on, like I tightened it a little bit, it's already kind of almost gathered just as much as I need it to be gathered. It just needs to be gathered a little tiny bit more to fit. And it fits perfectly, which is great. Now I'm gonna fit it like right into my bodice. Let me mark my front so I know exactly where my front is here. And I'm just gonna fit it right in there, right sides together, and match up where I marked that front here, right sides together, and then the sides. And then once it's all marked up, the sides and the front, then we can go ahead and clip the whole thing all the way on. Then we're gonna sew it with my sewing machine and finish it off with my serger. If you don't have clips, you're gonna want to get clips for the next step, because I'm gonna tell you the beauty of clips is I can go ahead to the next tier and not have to worry about the fact that I did not sew that one yet. I'll tell you why. Because they will stay on. They won't fall off like pins would. So now I can grab my next tier and match it right sides together. The width is a little bit smaller because I kind of took it in a lot, but that's okay. I left a really big tail so I could loosen up a little bit of the gathers. So I'm going to loosen it up a little bit because I didn't need to gather as much because I didn't have that much to begin with. So I ended up making this tier just a little bit shorter than the top tier, so it doesn't need as many gathers. Okay, I think that's good. A little bit more. Loosen it up a little bit more. All right. Now I'm going to match it right sides together. So the right side of my skirt, again, to the right side of my other skirt. After we're done sewing with this, all we've got left to do is to hem the sleeves, which I'll just do an inch fold over on the sleeve. And then on the hem of the dress, I'm going to try it on first and see how much I want to hem. And then I'll just do a fold over and top stitch hem because of the fact that I already serged the bottom edge, so it should be good to go. At the sleeve, I'm doing an inch fold over. And then after that, I'll just have to sew on a button to the back of the neckline. And that's it. So let me go finish this up, try it on, and show you what it looks like. Make sure you turn your tension back to normal and your stitch length back to normal. All right, over to my serger to finish up the layers and we'll be done. Time to add a button, and I think this one's just perfect. Okay, we're finished. All right, friends, we are finished with this Nora dress. I have a couple things to say. If you know me, you know I like oversized dresses. This is oversized, to say the least. Next time I make it, even though I like oversized dresses, I think next time I make it, I would go down a size. I made the size that I fit into according to the size chart, and actually I might have gone to the lower end of the size chart. So if I was in between a size, I went to the lower size. and I still feel like there's a lot of room everywhere. Here at the waist, here at the shoulders, they kind of hang low, and the facing is extra big, so it kind of pokes out at the back, which is fine. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab the facing and fold it in and stitch it, like fold it and stitch it a little bit so it's more taut, because it also wants to come out here at the top. It is oversized, so it kind of hangs loose, so keep that in mind. The length is great. Again, if you like an oversized flowy dress, perfect. I would say though, next time I am going to size down. So I'm going to measure myself and whatever I fit into, I'm probably going to go down a size or 2 if I make this again. So let that just be a reminder to you to just try it out first with fabric you don't love, and then size down or whatever. You can always fix a size down. I can always take this in, but you cannot add. So if you're kind of on the fence, then just do your size. Just know that it might be a little bit oversized. But other than that, I think it turned out really, really great. It's a great dress. Like I said, great oversized dress to just wear out and about. Comfy, cute. I think it's a plus. It's a win. It's a free pattern, and it turned out super cute. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please comment, like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Let me know if there's any other patterns, free patterns you're like, can you please sew this up and give me your real true review on the pattern, and I may be able to get to it. All right, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye. I'm back because I did not realize you could not see the bottom of it, but this is the bottom of it. That's how it fits. And I will say too that it almost fell. I will say too that it hangs really low, so it hangs, I guess I couldn't say really low. That's really my waist. I don't like things at my waist though. I like them higher. So that's another reason why sizing up, I think, would bring it a little bit higher and give me the look that I would want. Anyway, I just wanted you to see the whole thing. So there you go. See ya.